welcome to the Adult Education and New Thought Adult Education class. My name is John Braucher, and we're going to be reviewing a book, going over some information from Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Jampolsky. And wanted to start today with just a brief meditation to help us get centered. And I would like us to have consider an intention of non-judgment. So it's not always easy. It's one of those things that we have to practice over and over. And so center with our breath. Whatever's comfortable for you. Focus on the exhale. Remembering that we try to do our best. Others are also trying to do their best. Let's give all of us a break. Letting go of judgment, guilt, and anger. Letting go of fear. Okay. So, Dr. Jampolsky just died this past February the 20th of 21. He was 95 years old. He had studied child psychiatry back when psychiatrists weren't pharmacologists. So they did more than just prescribe medications back then. And what he really got into after he got out of the service is he started, his expertise was to work with children who either had terminal illnesses or other kind of chronic conditions that couldn't be corrected. And he always said that he was taught by those children. And then he ran into A Course of Miracles folks and felt this synchronicity. He saw the framework for what he felt that was taught to him by these children. So he wrote one of his quotes is, "To the children of the universe who, by the essence of their being, love, bring light to a darkened world and lead us to the kingdom of heaven." Another quote, and these are just some quotes, some ideas that kind of preface where we're going to go with this. And this book that I'm referring to is Love is Letting Go, just a little paperback book that I found I'm decluttering right now. Part of my initial retirement plan is decluttering.
Getting ready for the yard sale.
Yes, yeah, I had. And But instead of sending this one to the yard sale, I found this book that had been owned by a co-worker of mine who we did substance use treatment stuff together. And somehow it ended up in my set of books. And then I noticed, oh, he's this guy from Course in Miracles. And I had read this, but I personally had kind of an awakening in 2008, which everything that I've read before and then after, it reads different now. Because my awareness and my perception of things is just so different pre-2008 and post-2008.
What made you change your thoughts from there to now?
Oh, it was a combination of things. I started practice, had regular practice of mindfulness meditation, and I was on an airplane in December of '08, and I read the book The Power of Now on the trip to Oregon, and it just all fell into place. It's like, oh, okay, oh no shit, this stuff is really true. You know, it's like, and it all just kind of fit together. And so ever since then, things have just looked much differently to me, and my life's been a much more of a joy experience since then. A co-worker who I had worked with in the 90s ended up working at the same organization that I retired from, and his name's John too. And he goes, John, he goes, what's different about you? You just seem so calm, so different. And I said, I don't know, but I didn't want to go into the whole story at the time, but I later on I do. But anyways, I found this book, and so it's not very long. And when I read it, I just thought, like, the titles, I don't think tells the whole story, but it's that fear is the impediment to a lot of things. Through manifesting, it's the impediment to joy, it's an impediment to having peace of mind, it's an impediment to seeing things as they are. It really causes a lot of distraction to us. So, and in it, what I liked about the book was that he then had some practical suggestions, and that's what we'll go over as we go through this. So another quote that he has is, "What has no beginning or no ending? Only love fits this definition of eternal. Love is the total absence of fear. Therefore, love is letting go of fear." He talks about the replaying of the past. So I talk about, and have for years, about internal dialogue. It's the ongoing conversation that we all have with ourselves. Okay. So the thing is that we all have this ongoing conversation. And we've had it in all of our memory that we can remember. And we didn't program it initially. It occurred because of the circumstances in which we were born and raised early on, and the culture that we happened to be living in, and whatever experiences that we had programmed this internal dialogue. And a part of what this is about is starting to have the conscious choice and making a conscious decision to reprogram in a way that works for us. So he talks about replaying the past. We all manufacture our own dust and static which serves to interfere with seeing, hearing, and experiencing love within ourselves and others. This self-imposed interference keeps us stuck in our old belief system that we use repeatedly even though it doesn't get us what we want. So this internal dialogue continues to say, see, that's what happens when this happens. That's what happens when they're, and
You
it
feel
reinforces because yes, and I know, see, I told you, that's what's going to happen.
Right, justified, and everything else.
Exactly, exactly. Because it happens, and sometimes it's better to be right than to have peace of mind. You know. So, and the mind can be thought of. He uses this metaphor. The mind can be thought of as reels of motion picture film about our past experiences. And these images impact the lens through which we experience the present. Consequently, we're seeing fragments of the present through the distortion of old memories that we layer over it. If we are willing, we can, with increasing effectiveness, not just immediately, it's a process. It takes process. To use active imagination, to wipe away everything from the old reels except love. This requires letting go of our past attachments to guilt and fear. Okay, so now this is not only in this, we find this, of course, in the Course of Miracles, we find it in Abraham Hicks, we find it in the Four Agreements, this whole idea that if we focus our attention on guilt and fear and negative emotions, that it brings us down. It's an impediment to us being fully alive and fully able to love and experience what it is that we want. I had mentioned in the Abraham Hicks class yesterday that the 7 Attachments by Miguel Ruiz also has a kind of a step work process of letting go of some of these attachments or these old way of thinking that can be a problem. Second page on the handout is this guy's mind being old films now playing inside on the marquee that is in his brain, and that then the option is to have love on the marquee in our brain. Yes.
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to say in my own experience is working on letting go of these things, even after years and years and years of practice, does not mean that guilt and fear and all these things just go away. It means that maybe you're just now aware of when you are in that state, or that it's a shorter time span that you need to be in that state, or you can work your way out of that state by that awareness.
Sure. It doesn't just instantly disappear because we're still in the environment that our original mind, our mind that we grew up in, was developed. So we're still going to get exposed to the ideas of guilt, fear. If you watch the news, politics, there's a lot of fear mongering that's going on. Well, and it's hard to totally avoid, even though I don't watch TV news at all. But still, if you read anything, it's hard to avoid. So then he has, early on in this book, he has a chapter calling The Themes to Live By, which I found to be real helpful because it kind of encapsulates a lot of what this will go on to. And then the next section is going to be retraining of our mind, of our own mind. And then also words to eliminate, and then the lessons to practice, which is the actual act of retraining our minds. so that we have less of the fear. Yes, I agree with what Paul said, which is we can't totally eliminate. However, we can really minimize it to a great degree, to the point to where things are a lot clearer. Like these glasses that I'm wearing right now are a few years old. So they do have scratches on them. But it was a lot safer for me to drive down here with these glasses on than to not have them. Because I can see a lot more clearly than I can without them. Okay? So, we're always a work in progress, but if we can clarify what is, it makes the choices just so much simpler and so much easier, and life more joyful, and we're much more effective at finding what we want and getting what we want. So this first one is peace of mind as a single goal. And that when thinking about peace of mind, try not to get distracted with that process of calming the mind in meditation, which of course that's not easy. We've all had times when we sit down to meditate and just monkey mind goes wild, and it's not always, one day it might be really easy to slip into that calm, peace of mind state, and other times not so easy. But that's kind of a key, and you'll see it built into the retraining process. Forgiveness, the second theme is forgiveness is our single function and the way to achieve peace of mind. Okay. So Jesus, that was his big thing, was teaching people to forgive, and it's not always for the other person. It does help relationships, and it's also gives us peace of mind when we let go of blame, shame, anger, fear about others. Yes?
Hang on, Don.
For all the men in the congregation here, they will be familiar with this because there's a place where only men can go. That he says that if you want to avoid all the difficulties of life, I'm not saying verbatim, but he said, take 30 minutes, and this is Charles Fillmore, take 30 minutes a day and forgive everyone that you could possibly come in contact with, and it'll give you you'll have a happy life.
Yep.
But that's the key,
Yep.
is forgiveness of everybody and everything.
Including ourselves.
Absolutely.
And Don's referring to the little sign over the urinal in the men's room.
What did it say?
Well, he just paraphrased it. Basically,
okay.
It says, if you're disturbed by anything at all, he says, each day, at the end of your day, spend 30 minutes in meditation and go through and forgive anybody that you have any issue with at all in your life.
Or any feeling of animosity.
Any animosity, any negative emotions that you have about other people. If you do this consistently, you'll be much more happy.
So when I got into metaphysics, prior to that, I've been in 12-step groups and done forgiveness work where you own you're bad and then you seek forgiveness for it. But when I came into metaphysics and I began to understand My door was through the Abraham teachers. And so when I began to understand that how I feel is my emotional guidance to whether I am focused on that which serves me the best or that which I want or that my connection to source, that's an indicator. So then the journey of forgiveness was not a journey of of looking out there and saying, how can I get forgiveness with Susan with this interaction? It was going, this thought, my guidance system is like yuck, so it's saying this thought isn't working for me. So you're not trying to forgive anybody, you're just aligning with source. And you cannot hold anger and violence and judgment or any of those things and align with source. And so when you do it that way, it's a total different process than trying to forgive her. It's about aligning and connecting and listening.
Sorry, Wendy.
Right. And Wendy, for me, personally, the key was non-judgment, just in general. Because when I practiced that, it was like it was aligning with source, because I think source is non-judgmental. It's just law. So it doesn't have an axe to grind. So that it kind of takes care of that, and yeah, I would agree with you. The third is learn to not judge others and to see everyone, including ourselves, as guiltless. So that's the whole non-judgmental stance. That whatever is, and we may choose to not, if we have negative feelings about it, we may choose to not be around it or to have ourselves exposed to yucky feelings. And we can still not judge it, not put more energy into it. Number 4 theme to live by is we can let go of fear when we stop judging and stop projecting the past into the future. Stop projecting the past events into the future, which then allows us to more comfortably be in the now and live in the present moment. And that's one of those things, that's one of the overlays that he's talking about in terms of this motion picture that distorts how we perceive reality, is when we're projecting the past events and past thoughts and past images through the present right into the future. And so we're co-creating based on past events rather than on what we're choosing. Or actually, we're choosing by default because we're allowing these past events and old thinking patterns be involved in our co-creative process. We can learn to accept direction from our inner and intuitive voice, which is our guide to knowing, which is that when we are set in the quiet, in the silence, and it's that intuitive either voice or intuition that of knowing. And after our inner voice gives us direction, it will also provide the means for accomplishing whatever is necessary, even if we have no idea what that is. And learning to make a commitment to a goal, even when the means to achieving the goal are not immediately apparent. Okay, so that's kind of where faith comes in. Faith in the process, faith that's how things work, that the laws are actually true and real. we do have a choice in determining what we perceive and the feelings we experience. And I don't know if that's total, but it is. But how we perceive or how dirty our lens is affects the perception and then affects how we feel about our experience. So it's that cleaning of the lens through the practicing non-judgmental stance and practicing forgiveness and letting go that clears things up so we can see things as they are and can be when we have the positive imagination of what it is how we want to see our universe, our life to be. And through the last one is through retraining the mind, we can learn to use positive, active imagination that enables us to develop positive, loving motion pictures in our mind. So instead of the old films playing, we can reprogram and redo the pictures. Okay, so and has been, we've talked about how difficult this can be, letting go of old habits. It's these negative emotions continue to pop up. It's part of knowing what we don't want, and then so that we can know what we do want. So there's always going to be some of this going on and so it does take some perseverance and practice and discipline. You can't just read the book and boom, you're there. It's there's you have to have some kind of a practice and a discipline of meditation, of practice, of reminding ourselves what we do believe to be true. Until
next minute, this thing is jumping back in.
we talked about this yesterday in Abraham Hicks, is that we want it to become to us automatically what we know to be true, instead of some of the falsehoods that are programmed. So some of the questions that Jerry Jampolsky asks us to ask ourselves is, do I choose to experience peace of mind, or do I choose to experience conflict? Do I choose to experience love or fear? Do I choose to be a love finder or a fault finder? And is this communication, whether it's verbal or nonverbal, loving to the other person, and is it loving to me? So this also brought me back, this next section is words to eliminate. This brought me back to dialectical behavior therapy training that I did back, which led me to the 08 period. Because we were, as clinicians, as therapists, we were very, our craft is our words. So we were very interested in language and how it affected other people, but it also, of course, the language that goes through our mind affects us. It can either distort or clarify that lens, depending on what kind of language we're using. It can be judgmental language or open and loving language. So the words to eliminate include impossible, can't, try, That's a hard one to let go of, the tribe. Because we have to, in order to let go of the tribe, that implies
That it's done.
that we believe it's already going to turn out the way that we want it to.
When you said that, it immediately came to my mind what Yoda says, there is no try. And Yoda's right.
Well, when we live there, it serves as an impediment. Limitation, if only, and I put this one in caps, but.
Yeah, but
Hey,
Yes, and yeah, but, so what does but do?
Negates what you said.
What you just said, whatever it is you just said, it negated it. So why did you even say it in the first place?
habit. Bad habit.
However, difficult, ought to, should, doubt, any words that place you or anyone in a category.
labels.
Labels, I heard that, yes.
Ward of the state.
Any words that tend to measure or evaluate you or other people, which even more specifically, any words that tend to judge or condemn you or someone else. Okay. So when I was practicing the dialectical behavior therapy, the therapists would meet together as a group weekly for a couple of hours. And there were 10 or 11 of us, and one person each week was the observer role. And so during the entire 2-hour meeting, except for the very end, they were silent. And they did nothing but observe for any judgmental language. And when they heard it, they would ring a little Tibetan singing bowl. And then it was the job of everybody else in the room to figure out what was the judgment. What was the judgment language that they had heard?
Parlor game.
And so this technique taught us all to become very sensitive to judgmental language. So that when we hear it, it just kind of goes, you kind of viscerally feel judgment. And even in our thoughts, even within our thoughts. And early on, one of the things, the practices that I did, I was telling Paul about this yesterday, that one of the practices was for one day, just one day, write down every judgmental thought that came into your mind.
Oh my gosh.
And
Gargantuan.
so I had about 150, and I'd been practicing already for some time. And
Oh my God.
had this list of these judgmental thoughts, and they're still going to come. But is it aware? Does it feel uncomfortable? Do you feel compelled to let go of it? So it's no longer in your face and in your way, or dusting up your lens so you can't see what's really there. Yeah.
Well, that's basically what Wendy was talking about in the Abraham Hicks teachings, is your emotional guidance system. If it doesn't feel good, you're off. You're not allowing yourself to be connected to your source. So use how you feel as your guidance. Yeah.
So the ingredients, he has a little section on the ingredients of personal transformation. We are what we believe. One of the premises. We are all limitless.
Yes.
We all learned the art of attack and defense. When our feelings get hurt, we feel like we're being attacked, and we feel that we have this urge to defend ourselves. And sometimes, other people get defensive from us, and we either might be attacking the person and not really being aware of it, or we might represent a memory for that person that reminds them of being attacked, and so they get defensive. If we really check ourselves and go, nah, I didn't really attack them, but it may be that we're a trigger for some reason, a tone of our voice, our body language, our gender, a lot of different things can create that. And the reason why I bring that up is just so that if somebody kind of attacks you, we don't have to think of it as that they're attacking us. We can say, this person's afraid. You can just be aware that they're just, they're afraid. And I don't need to be afraid of them necessarily, but I can be aware that what's motivating their behavior really is fear.
One of the easiest ways for me to see that is I just think about, we're all here writing a story and then living out the story that we write. And it's easier for me to be non-judgmental if I can look at somebody and say, well, that's an interesting story they're writing right now. And do I want to give my attention to it and therefore participate in their story? Would that be fun? And if it doesn't seem like a fun story for me right now, then I can just say, no, pass on that one. I'll let that be okay, but it's still a good story. It's not bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. Forgiveness, obviously, is one of the tenets that is important in this book. And then the other is the getting and giving, and that's basically the law that what we give gets returned to us in kind. We don't always know how that occurs, but we know that it occurs, or we believe that. That's at least the people in this room believe that. Yes.
I was talking to my shrink this week about forgiveness.
Oh, good.
And she asked me a good question. What does forgiveness mean to you? So maybe can you throw some words onto that one, please?
Well, I'll restate kind of what I've already said. You came in a little bit late, but the letting go of judgment is the simplest one for me. Is when we no longer are judging the other person to be good or bad or right or wrong. I read, I don't even remember where I read it right now, but that judgment's the lowest form of thought.
Yes.
Okay. And because it's just cloudy, it invites negative emotion. And it distorts our ability to clearly see what is. And if we really are truly going to hold others, if we, one of the things that we hear Sue say sometimes is, we don't believe in original sin. We believe that what the word sin means is missing the mark. A person doing something and lacking in accuracy of what they intended to do. As opposed to they're wrong, they're bad. There's something wrong with them.
This helped clarify me on judgment. It comes back from the Master's words, judge not lest you be judged. And it really came to me at one point that I am the one putting me in the line of judgment. If I judge somebody, then I'm saying I'm either better than them or I'm less than them. And so for me, I have done that to myself by judging someone. So if I can stay out of judgment, then I'm no longer in this line of better or bad or worse or better. And man, that really changed it for me. That helped.
So yeah, a substance use counselor, dear friend of mine, she taught me that, when you're pointing at somebody, there's three fingers pointing back at you. So if you're going to judge, you're doing more harm to yourself.
I've always found that when I'm piqued to criticize someone and pass judgment on them, it's almost always a character defect of my own that I just detest in myself. That I'm basically seeing my own, part of my own psyche being portrayed by this person that I'm criticizing.
That's what the three fingers pointing back at you are.
Well, yeah.
One of the things too is so many times I found once I stopped just reacting by default by old things, where I was raised, my biological father, you had to be ultra attuned to his mood in order to be safe. And so you grow up to do that, and it skews everything. So like this morning, we got up to the alarm clock, and we don't have to get up to alarm clocks anymore very often. We got up, and so I'm in making breakfast and everything, and Don comes in and he goes, "Are you mad at me?" And normally if he'd have just said, by the look on her face, she's mad at me. What did I do? And started doing a dialogue in his head. He just said, "Are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't focused yet." And that was the end of it, where it could have got into something where he felt something and then I would feel something, and we could have been just mad at each other by the time we got here.
Absolutely. So, projecting. Someone mentioned the word projecting. So, and which is what you're talking about, is that, and it's, I learned it as an undergraduate in social work classes, in a psychodynamic class, behavior class, where it's a defense mechanism that whatever it is that's on your mind, you project on other people. And even though I don't really practice, never have practiced psychodynamic therapy, it is a true defense mechanism. It is something, it's a behavior that we do, a cognitive thing that we do. And so that it is true that if you find yourself upset with somebody, it's a good chance that if you look inside, you go, oh, okay, that's where that's coming from. It's usually you can find it somewhere, either the opposite of it or the same or something related to that is triggering whatever the emotions are that we're experiencing. A sensitive spot. Okay, so we're ending on the getting and giving, and that whole law of what we give comes back to us. So the next section that I found to be really important was how to proceed with the lessons. So he's got 12 lessons in this book to reprogram, so that we can reprogram our own minds. And how we proceed with the lesson is that every day upon awakening, that we relax and use our active imagination. Okay? That we start our day in a little period of quiet. And to do the lessons sequentially, once a day, and one a day. And in this relax, spend a few minutes and repeat the lesson's title and the related thoughts several times, allowing them to become part of our being, part of our mindset for the day. The third is each day ask ourselves the question about peace of mind. Do I want to have peace of mind, or do I want to be in conflict? So we're, again, getting that context, getting that idea in our mind that we have a choice. That it doesn't have to just be automatic. The fourth is to put the lesson title on a card, or these days on your phone, so that we can review it throughout the day and kind of recheck in with the idea, whatever that lesson is for the day. And try to apply it to whatever comes up that day. And at the end of the day, again, have a little quiet period and kind of review how did the lesson go? How did it apply today? How much was I able to be on target with it? How much did I deviate from what the lesson was teaching us? The sixth is when completing the lessons, when you're done with all the 12 lessons, go ahead and repeat it. And the seventh is continue to repeat till it just becomes habit. You've already got the habit down, so you don't have to stop and think about the lessons and approaching, and you felt like you've gotten things kind of retrained. So the lessons, and I haven't written out here, but all that I give is given to myself. Verbally, materially, spiritually, interpersonally, emotionally, all that I give is given to myself. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. I am never upset for the reason I think.
I learned several years ago the power of the prayer of St. Francis, and that every time I experience that, I get a sense of soul happiness deep to my core. And it's exactly for that reason, that forgiveness, experiencing the act of forgiving another creates a joy that's not accessible through any other way.
The fourth lesson is I am determined to see things differently. And I think that's important because it takes determination to reprogram. It takes effort. It doesn't happen accidentally. I can escape the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. So that's talking about I can escape the world that's on television, media, so on and so forth. If I don't form an attachment by trying to attack.
Or feeling attacked, either way.
Yes,
Yeah, either way.
yes, I would agree, yes. Yeah, it cuts both ways.
No, I was gonna.
Oh,
Yeah. She.
I'm loud enough.
Me too.
the sixth one is I am not the victim of the world I see. And nor are other people that we see.
They're playing their own game.
They're writing their own story, aren't they?
I'll pass it to you in a second, Wendy. One thing I'm seeing here, and I have to say, I went through this book years and years ago before I even knew of A Course in Miracles. And now that you're going through these lessons and everything, this really basically sums up A Course in Miracles. And I was just curious, in your opinion, do you think that he took these from A Course in Miracles? Because
He says he does. Yes,
Oh,
he
does.
says that all of these teachings are from the Course in Miracles.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
That after he started working with the kids, he had these experiences, and then he was exposed to the Course in Miracles, and he goes, there's the framework. That's it.
I just like to put in here that the power of how powerful we are is the Abraham teachers will say, we are so amazing and so powerful and so free that we can create the illusion of bondage for ourselves. But the other way is you look at this and it's not just about being a good person, thinking the right things, but literally changes your world, because the people in my life who were dangerous in my life and seemed like they were all powerful, through doing this process, those people kind of disappeared out of my life. Something, it literally changes your world from being a dangerous, horrible world into a beautiful, peaceful place.
It's true. That's true. Today I will judge nothing that occurs. That's the 7th. The 8th is, this instant is the only time there is. 9 is, the past is over and it cannot touch me. Where he actually says, it can touch me not. The 10th is, I could see peace instead of this. Whatever this is. I can elect to change all things that hurt. Now let me go back to 10. I can see peace instead of this. And that gets to that we live in this three-dimensional physical world that's messy and, has all kinds of whatever's going on is going on. And we have this choice to see beyond just the three-dimensional. To see the vibrational beings that are so powerful, to see what we normally think of as not really being beings, but just the stuff of the universe as being vibrationally existence. And when when we see at a deeper level, it gives us more. I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Whether that's hurting ourselves or other people, we have choice. And the last one is, I am responsible for what I see. These last two quotes that were in the book. Teach only love, for that is what you are. And the beginning of the book, the quote was, love is the way I walk in gratitude. And I would just switch it around as gratitude is the way I walk in love. This makes more sense to me, but it's the same thing. So it's 10 after.
Questions?
Yeah, any questions, other comments about
What's the name of the book?
The book is Love is Letting Go of Fear. Was published copyrighted in 1970.
Is it still in print? Do you think?
Probably. I mean, what's the bookstore down?
Pagination? Oh, I know what you mean. On downtown. I can't think of
No,
it.
not downtown. Off of
Barnes and Noble?
No, the little one.
Renaissance?
Renaissance.
Oh.
I would look for it at Renaissance, but I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Or Barnes and Noble could order it from their new.
Love is letting go of fear.
Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Jampolsky. Gerald Jampolsky. It's on the handout. Jampolsky. I don't know if he's Polish or not, but
It's a good chance.
he was born and raised in California. And
Could be Russian, yeah.
that's it. That's my.
Let's give John a big round of applause. I want to thank you, John. That was phenomenal.
We have
Do you want to read them?
Sure, I'll read
Good.
them. The Board of Trustees meets Monday, March 20th. Guests are welcome to join at 6:30 p.m. Starting Tuesday, the pod will be here to receive your donations for the indoor yard sale held in conjunction with Planet Unity. No clothing or large furniture for this sale, but it's a big part of my declutter plan.
You said no clothing, does that mean we have to show up naked?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a new decision.
that's true. The New Thought World Religion class on March 26th will be presented by Teresa Amesqua on Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. He's a really cool author. Carrie Kugler is leading a spirit group at 6:30 p.m. on Thursdays from March 23rd through March 25th.
May.
Oh, it's
May
May
25th. March 23rd through
till
May
May.
25th. There will be meditation and chanting, excerpts from books for discussions. Sign up in the foyer. And I think the title of it was,
Exploring spiritual practices.
yes, Exploring Spiritual Practices. So it's going to be just a small group getting together to do some practice, following some paths, looking at some things to do. And growing spiritually together. The last day to order Planet Unity shirts is March 31st. So get your order in. There are order forms in the foyer, which you can return to Lisa or the church office. Building and grounds cleanup is April 1st. No, not really. Yes.
Come on, man. That was a cheap trick.
Bring your yard work tools and gloves. We want to make our space lovely before the big event on Earth Day.
Did Mitch write these?
No, I ad-libbed it. Sign up in the foyer to sponsor on Easter Lily and an Easter Lily. You may honor a loved one who has made their transition or someone that's near or dear to you. You may dedicate it to anyone. You can do it for your cat or your dog. You may give in gratitude or celebration, whatever nudges you. To cover the cost of the lily is $15 and requests must be made by April 2nd. Really. There will be a welcoming ceremony for new members on Sunday, April 2nd. To become a member of the church, you must have attended for at least 6 months and attend the orientation on Sunday, March 26th after service. Lunch will be served to those attending the orientation, and applications are available at the reception desk and must be turned in to Dee or the church office today. All right.